The black SUV screeched to a halt, its tires biting into the asphalt like a predator sinking claws into prey. Its tinted windows swallowed the morning sun, casting an unnatural shadow over the quiet cul-de-sac. Children's laughter died midair. A dog's bark choked into a whimper. From the porch of a modest single-story home, Elias Harper, grizzled and unyielding at 73, tightened his grip on a cane that wasn't just for walking. His eyes, sharp as a hawk's, locked onto the two men stepping out of the vehicle, uniforms too crisp, boots too tactical, badges too vague. They weren't cops. They weren't neighbors. They were trouble, and they were about to make the worst mistake of their lives. It had started like any other Saturday in Willow Creek, a sleepy Arizona suburb where the biggest scandals were overgrown lawns and misplaced recycling bins. The air was warm, laced with the scent of blooming jasmine and sizzling burgers from backyard grills. 8-year-old Caleb Monroe knelt on the sidewalk, his small hands dusted with chalk as he sketched a green dragon with wings of fire. Beside it, in wobbly orange letters, he'd written Dragon Defender. His mother, Lila, watched from the front door, her apron streaked with flour from the morning's baking. Their golden retriever, Rusty, sprawled lazily on the porch, tail thumping against the wood. It was perfect, too perfect, like the calm before a storm nobody saw coming. Elias, Caleb's grandfather, sat on the porch rocker, a cup of black coffee cooling in his hand. A former Marine intelligence officer, he'd spent decades in shadows interrogating insurgents in Fallujah, dismantling lies in smoke-filled rooms. Now, retired, he'd traded battlefields for this quiet life, but his instincts never dulled. He noticed the SUV before anyone else. It didn't belong. No plates. No markings. Just menace. When the doors opened, his coffee went untouched. The men moved with purpose. The taller one, broad-shouldered with a shaved head, wore a dark uniform labeled HOA Security in stark white letters. His boots clacked like a countdown. The other, lean and twitchy, had a scorpion tattoo curling up his neck and mirrored sunglasses that hid his eyes. They scanned the street, zeroing in on Caleb. The boy looked up, clutching his chalk, obliquely VYS to the shift in the air. "This your property?" The bald man barked, pointing at the sidewalk. Caleb blinked, his voice small. "I'm just drawing a dragon. Sidewalk's public. Defacing, it's a violation. HOA Code 39C. The tattooed man stepped closer, his shadow swallowing Caleb's drawing. Lila was out the door in seconds, her voice sharp. "He's 8. It's chalk. It washes off." The bald man didn't blink. "We've had complaints. Vandalism's a finable offense. There's no such rule." Lila snapped, but the tattooed man was already MOVYing. He grabbed Caleb's arm, yanking him up. The boy yelped, chalk scattering like confetti. Lila lunged, barefoot and fierce, but the bald man blocked her, one meaty hand VYing her back. Rusty snarled, his chain rattling as he strained to break free. The neighborhood froze misses. Delgado dropped her garden hose, "Mr. Patel, stop pushing his stroller." A jogger pulled out her phone. And then, a sound sliced through the chaos, a sickening crack. Caleb screamed, his small hand twisting unnaturally as he crumpled to the ground. Lila's cry was raw, primal. She fell to her knees, reaching for her son. "What did you do?" "He's a child." The bald man loomed over her. "Step back, ma'am. Official business." From the porch, Elias hadn't moved. Not yet. His face was a mask, but his knuckles whitened around the Cania custom piece, ebony with a steel core, a gift from a comrade he'd pulled from a burning Humvee. He stood, slow and deliberate, the rocker creaking behind him. The air seemed to thicken, the sunlight dimming as a shadow stretched across the lawn. The tattooed man noticed him first, smirking. "Old man, stay out of this." Elias's voice was low, like gravel underfoot. "Let go of my grandson." The bald man squared his shoulders. "Sir, we're handling." 10 seconds, Elias said, his tone flat, final. Lila, cradling Caleb, looked up, her tears stopping as she saw her father's stance, feet planted, eyes unblinking, cane held like a blade. The neighbors held their breath. The tattooed man tightened his grip on Caleb, sneering. You're not. 7, Elias cut in. 5. He stepped off the porch, each tap of the cane a metronome counting down to something INEVY table. The bald man shifted, uneasy now. The tattooed man laughed, a nervous edge to it, but he didn't let go. That was his mistake. Elias moved like a ghost, faster than his years suggested. The cane whipped through the air, striking the tattooed man's wrist with a crack that echoed off the houses. The man howled, releasing Caleb, who scrambled into Lila's arms. Before the bald man could react, Elias pivoted, the cane arcing down onto his knee. The man collapsed, clutching his leg, his scream drowning out the distant hum of lawnmowers. The tattooed man lunged, fumbling for something in his belt pepper spray, maybe, but Elias was already there. A precise strike to the shoulder sent him to his knees, and a final blow pinned him face down on the sidewalk, the cane pressing into his spine. Stay down, Elias said, his voice unchanged. You're about to be famous. The street erupted. Phones were out, recording from every angle. Mrs. Delgado shouted, call the police. Mr. Patel waved his VYC, yelling, I've got it all. Rusty barked triumphantly, as if he'd won the fight himself. Lila rocked Caleb, whispering, It's okay, baby, though her hands shook. The bald man whimpered, clutching his knee. You broke it. Should have broken your morals first, Elias replied, stepping back but never turning away. Sirens wailed, closing in. The neighbors surged forward, a protective ring forming around Caleb and Lila. Elias knelt beside his grandson, his rough hand gentle on the boy's shoulder. Caleb's face was pale, his fingers swollen and bent. Grandpa, he whispered, it hurts. I know, kid, Elias said softly. But it's over. It wasn't. Not yet. The police arrived in a flurry of flashing lights, officers spilling out with hands on holsters. The neighbors shouted over each other, thrusting phones at the cops. Look at this. They attacked a kid. One officer, a veteran with gray at his temples, crouched beside Lila and Caleb. Ma'am, is this the child? Lila nodded, her voice breaking. They said it was graffiti. They broke his hand. The officer's jaw tightened. He turned to the bald man, still sprawled on the grass. ID. Now. The man fumbled, producing a laminated card. The officer held it up, squinting. No badge number. No issuer. This is fake. He looked at Elias, who stood calmly, cane at his side. You the one who took them down? Elias nodded. They drove an unmarked SUV. No plates. Claimed HOA authority. No paperwork. Just violence. The tattooed man, now cuffed, sputtered. We're officers. You don't. Shut up. A neighbor snapped, play her video. The footage was damning. Caleb's innocent smile, the men's aggression, the sickening snap of his fingers, Elias's swift justice. Another angle showed Lila's desperate lunge. Another captured the cane's lethal precision. The officer watching the video looked up. Who are these guys? A voice from the crowd called out. They've been here before. Last month, they fined the Garcias for a cracked mailbox. Threatened to evict Mrs. When over her garden. The pieces fell into place. These weren't lone wolves, they were part of a scam, a network of imposters preying on quiet neighborhoods, banking on fear and fake authority. Paramedics arrived, tending to Caleb's hand. 3 broken fingers, one said grimly. He'll need x-rays. Lila clung to her son, her eyes never Leah ing Elias. He stood like a sentinel, watching the suspect get cuffed and loaded into cruisers. The bald man glanced back, meeting Elias's gaze. There was no triumph in Elias's face, just a quiet warning. You got off easy. By dusk, the story was everywhere. News vans parked down the block, reporters clamoring for interviews. The VY dubbed Grandpa's Justice hit 10 million VYUs overnight. Social media exploded with hashtags, the Chalk Rebellion, the Protect Elias Harper. Caleb's dragon drawing became a symbol, recreated on sidewalks across the country. A digital artist enhanced it, adding a cane to the dragon's claw and a silhouette of Elias behind it, with the caption, "Justice walks slow but strikes hard." The police investigation uncovered a sprawling operation. The fake HOA enforcers had targeted dozens of communities, extorting thousands from vulnerable residents, elderly widows, single parents, anyone too scared to fight back. Charges piled up: assault, impersonation, extortion. The DA promised more to come. But the real VY Tory wasn't in the courtroom, it was in the community. Willow Creek changed. Neighbors formed a watch group, sharing tips on spotting scams. Kids flooded the sidewalks with chalk art, each drawing a middle finger to fear. Caleb, his hand in a cast, became a local hero. Classmates drew dragons on his backpack. Teachers hung his artwork in classrooms. But the nightmares lingered. Some nights, he'd wake screaming, clutching his hand, afraid the men would return. Elias would sit by his bed, silent but steady, his presence louder than words. One Saturday, the neighborhood held a chalk festival. Families gathered, sidewalks blooming with color. In front of Elias's house, Caleb, Lila, and Elias knelt together. Caleb, cast free, drew his dragon again, bigger, bolder, with a shield that read, "Scammers beware." The crowd cheered, phones snapping photos. A news crew captured it. The mayor REVYing with a commendation for Elias and the community. Elias waved it off, but he made one demand: preserve the drawing. The city sealed it in resin, a permanent testament to what they'd overcome. Lila stood beside her father, watching the dragon glint in the sun. "You didn't just save him," she said. "You showed us how to fight." Elias rested a hand on her shoulder, saying nothing. A new plaque gleamed by the front door. "This house stands guarded." The neighborhood was quiet again, but stronger proof that when predators come cloaked in authority, there are still those who will rise, cane in hand, and remind the world what justice looks like. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this VY Deo with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next VY Deo.